Hello. The subject of the present lecture is eHealth system architecture. We can start giving a definition of software architecture according to Bass and colleagues. The software architecture of a program or computing system is the structure or structure of the system which comprise the software elements, the externally visible properties of those elements, and the relationship among them. The relationships among systems architecture and software architecture is that the first includes the second, as a system comprises hardware or other components too. Why is it important to define software or system architecture? 3 different points should be considered: management, requirements handling, and maintenance. From the management point of view, dividing a complex system into smaller or simpler parts facilitates its management. From the requirements handling point of view, it's possible to put requirements on each part of the system, so it is clear which requirements affect which parts of the system. From maintenance point of view, making the parts separated each other, changes do not affect the entire system. In addition, the system structure is easy to understand. Now, we can introduce the concepts of micro and macro architectures. Macro architectures relate to architecture patterns such as layers or tiers, while micro architectures relate to idioms. For example, in Java programming language, an idiom is use exception to handle errors. In macro architectures, 2 views can be defined. First, logical division by layers. Secondly, physical division by tiers. The picture shows the structure of a system based on physical or virtual computers. 3 tiers concur to compose the system. The logical division commonly includes 3 layers: the presentation layer, the business logic, and the database. The presentation layer is commonly a graphical user interface with the logic for presentation. The business logic contains business rules. For example, all patients more than 65 years old get a flu vaccine. Calculations and data transformation. The database is for storing and searching information. Communication between layers occurs involving 2 of them. In other words, the presentation layer communicates with the business logic only, while the business logic communicates with the database only. The presentation layer does not communicate with the database directly. Common macro architectures can be 2 tiers, 3 tiers, or multi-tiers. 2 tiers architectures were developed in late 80s of the previous century to separate the user interface from the database or the data layer. This architecture simplifies the maintenance due to a clear layer separation. Then it scales up to about 500 users. In developing eHealth system, the information about the number of envisaged users allows defining the right architecture. In 2-tier architecture, the presentation layer and the business logic are on client side, while the database is on the database server. 3-tier architectures were developed in late 90s as an alternative to 2-tier architecture. A new tier was added for handling business logic, and in 3-tier architectures, the presentation layer is on the client, the business logic is on the application server, while the database is on the database server. Other than scalability, the parameters to evaluate are as it follows: performance, flexibility, system integration, and ease of use. Till now, we have described the architecture of a single software program. Nowadays, one of the huge problems is to get single programs together. Healthcare settings are characterized by heterogeneous information system and peripherals, but all the data should be integrated into electronic health record or shared with other systems based on different operating platform. Service-oriented architecture, SOA, is based on the concept of a service. Input is sent to a remote service that manages or processes data, then output comes back from the same service. The remote service is able to process data coming from different platforms in the same way, thus facilitating the integration of data in systems where data was not generated. A common service-oriented architecture is a web-based service. There, a user has to use his or her internet browser to access and use different services. In this case, the computer user can be a thin client, which is a low-performance computer. This fact could be facilitate the spread of IT systems in hospital settings, as demanding functionalities are implemented as remote services. To sum up, in the context of eHealth and health informatics, modern eHealth system architectures are mandatory to facilitate integration into heterogeneous information systems and to allow the secondary use of data for clinical and research purposes.